Alright, so here's the story, Zach. A woman was near death from cancer. One drug might save her. A form of radium that a druggist in the same town had recently discovered. The druggist was charging $2,000, 10 times what the drug had cost him to make. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow the money, but he could get together only about half of what it should cost. He told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or to let him pay later, but the druggist said no. The husband got desperate and broke into the man's store to steal the drug for his wife. Now, Zach, do you think the druggist or the man should have broken into the store to steal the drug from the druggist?
Well, by stealing, he wrecked his own life by committing a sin that is also against the law. And he wrecked his life, which I don't think is good enough to sacrifice for his wife's life.
So you don't think his wife's life was important enough for him to steal the drug?
No, it is never right to steal.
Yeah, but it's a life, Zach. It's a life.
Stealing for a life is still immoral.
Yeah, but what would you have done if you were
If she dies, she will go to heaven, but if he steals, he will go to hell.
But he's stealing
And
to
they can
say
meet up in heaven.
he's stealing to save his wife's life. Now, what would you have done? Would you have saved your life and risked the consequences?
I would not have stolen, because it is immoral and a mortal sin.
But you'd have to live with your wife's death for the rest of your life, and you'd be saying...
Well, at least you'd go to heaven, and I wouldn't be going to hell.
Yeah, but you'd be saying to yourself, oh man, I could have saved her. I could have broken into the store and stole that drug and saved her.
Well, then I'll think of her in heaven, waiting for me.
Because you're such a moral person, aren't you, Zach?
Yes.
Yes. Alright, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Alright, go.
Yeah. Coach P, age 56.
Okay. My one is, a woman was near death from cancer. One drug might save her. A form of radium that a druggist in the same town has recently discovered. The druggist was charging $2,000, 10 times what the drug has cost him to make. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow the money, but he couldn't get together only about half of what it should cost. He told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or to let him pay later, but the druggist said no. The husband got desperate and broke into the man's store to steal the drug for his wife. What will you have done?
If it got that desperate, same thing he did.
Why?
I think the highest level of morality is what you can justify in your own mind that is not putting anybody else at peril. And breaking into somebody's house and taking something of that nature in those circumstances isn't putting anybody in peril. I might have enlisted the support of maybe some government officials or civic leaders to put pressure on the druggist to lower the price. But when it gets down to a life or death situation, you got to do what you got to do.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool, thanks.